Close your eyes, just for a moment. Let the noise of the world fall away. Let the distractions dissolve. Now, listen deeply, not with your ears, but with your awareness. What if I told you that the life you desire already exists? That wealth, abundance, luxury, and freedom are not distant dreams, but present realities, calling for you to step into them. You don't have to wait for the right time, the perfect moment, or some external miracle. The rich reality exists now, not tomorrow. Not when you get that job, not when your debts are cleared. The truth is simple. You are not here to earn abundance. You are here to recognize it, to awaken to what is already yours. You've been conditioned to believe that effort brings reward, that struggle must come before success. But the universe does not operate on effort alone. It responds to belief, to imagination, to inner alignment. Think about the wealthiest, most successful people you know or have heard of. Before the cars, before the penthouses, before the headlines, what did they all possess? A vision, a knowing, a quiet, unwavering certainty that the life they saw in their minds was more real than the life they were currently living. They weren't reacting to their current conditions, they were creating new ones. They weren't asking, how can I afford this? They were declaring, this is already mine. And the universe moved to support them. Now, let me ask you, what are you declaring today? Every moment you focus on lack, you multiply it. Every time you affirm, I can't afford it, the universe agrees. But when you shift your attention, when you redirect your imagination, when you start living from the end, when you act as if the rich reality is already here, everything begins to change. And let me tell you this, there is no difference between imagination and reality. None. What you see in your mind is just as real as what you touch with your hands. In fact, the physical world is the shadow, the echo of your inner world. You don't need permission to step into wealth. You don't need credentials. You don't need to wait for a sign. You are the sign. The moment you feel it, claim it, and live it. It begins, but not because of hard work, not because of luck, because of alignment. Your rich reality exists in this very moment. It is a frequency, a dimension, a version of you that is already living the life you dream of. That version of you is already driving the car, already living in the mansion, already walking into the room with certainty and grace. So why not step into that version now? Stop trying to chase money. Stop trying to become rich. You are rich. You were born from abundance. The universe never created you to struggle. It created you to expand, to shine, to remember. So from this moment forward, you must decide. Decide that you will no longer see money as something outside of you. You will no longer view wealth as something to pursue. It is something to embody. Breathe it, think it, walk like it, speak from it, dress from it, move from it. Feel the rich version of you alive within you and give it the stage. Let it speak louder than your fears. Let it silence your doubts. The only distance between you and the rich life is the lie that there is a distance. There is none. Wealth is not coming. It is here. The door is open. Step into it. Most people walk through life under the illusion that they must earn their way to wealth, that they must crawl through the trenches of time, labor, and sacrifice in order to finally reach the mountaintop of abundance. But what if that mountaintop has been underneath your feet all along? What if you were standing in the field of gold, but because your eyes were looking down in despair, you missed the treasure shining right beneath you? Wealth is not created, it is recognized. It is not summoned, it is remembered. And this remembering begins with awareness. You are not trying to build something new. You are trying to uncover what already is. You are not trying to become rich. You are discovering that you already are and that everything you need to prove it is already within you. The truth is, you don't manifest wealth by fighting against poverty. You manifest wealth by no longer identifying with the consciousness of lack. The moment you step out of the mindset of waiting, hoping, or one day dreaming, and step into the knowing that you're surrounded by infinite possibilities, that's when things begin to move. Not because circumstances have changed, but because you have. This world we live in is but a mirror. It reflects not what you deserve, but what you expect. And expectations are not passive thoughts. They are deep-rooted patterns of belief, quietly instructing reality to match them. So if your awareness is fixated on absence, the mirror of life cannot help but echo it back to you. But if your awareness locks onto the reality where you are already supported, already thriving, already blessed, then the universe reconfigures itself to reflect that truth. It is not enough to say, I want to be rich. You must see it, breathe it, walk with it. You must close your eyes and feel the weight of your success in your body, as if your soul already knows it's real. Because it is. You are not imagining something that could be. You are tuning into something that is. You are aligning your consciousness with a reality where your bank account overflows, where opportunities chase after you, where every room you enter feels like it was designed with your favor in mind. This is not delusion. This is divine awareness. The same way a radio picks up stations already in the air, your mind picks up realities already in existence. And when your frequency matches that of wealth, wealth appears, not because it was created in that moment, but because you finally tuned into it. The reality of wealth surrounds you now, waiting to be received. But reception requires recognition. And recognition begins with awareness. Every time you shift from, what if I don't have enough, to what if everything I need is already mine, you open the floodgates. Don't chase it. Don't beg for it. Just see it. See it in your morning routine. See it in your meals. See it in how you walk, how you speak, how you dress. Let your awareness no longer reflect the world you used to live in, but the one that's already available to you. The most dangerous myth we've been fed is the belief that effort alone is the master key to success. That if you grind long enough, hustle hard enough, push through every storm with teeth clenched, you will be rewarded. But let's be honest, how many people do you know who work harder than anyone else, yet struggle endlessly to stay afloat? And how many seem to move through life effortlessly, attracting wealth, favor, and miracles without the strain? The difference isn't in how much they do, it's in how much they believe. The universe is not a machine that operates by sweat and strain. It is a living, breathing intelligence that responds not to your struggle, but to your state. It does not reward the most exhausted. It aligns with the most certain, the most internally aligned. This is why two people can do the same thing, speak the same words, wear the same clothes, and yet one attracts massive wealth while the other repels it. It's because one is acting from belief, the other from fear. One is moving with inner clarity, the other with hidden doubt. And the universe always honors the dominant inner vibration, not the outer motion. When you begin to realize that your external life is the shadow of your inner world, everything changes. You stop trying to manipulate the outer. You stop exhausting yourself trying to fix the reflection. Instead, you go inward, you clean the mirror, and suddenly the image shifts. This is the path of the aligned. The ones who understand that real power is not in the hustle, but in the harmony. That when your thoughts, emotions, and identity all speak the same language, wealth becomes inevitable. You must begin to feel before the evidence shows up. You must believe before the money hits your account. You must celebrate before the world gives you a reason to dance. Because belief is the seed, and from that seed, effort becomes effortless. Think of it like this. A flower does not struggle to bloom. The sun does not wrestle to shine. They simply align with what they already are. When your beliefs align with wealth, abundance begins to show up in ways that surprise you. Through people, opportunities, sudden ideas, or gentle whispers guiding you to take just the right step. Your job is not to fight for the outcome. Your job is to become the outcome in your mind and allow life to match it. When your inner climate is tuned to certainty, clarity, and gratitude, wealth has no choice but to respond. It is not magic. It is law. Stop trying to be rich by force. Start being rich by belief. Let your effort be inspired, not desperate. Let your energy be guided, not scattered. Let your actions spring from a deep knowing, not a shallow fear. And above all, trust that the moment you align with the frequency of wealth, wealth begins its journey toward you. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Now, pause just for a moment and let this truth settle deep within you. Imagination creates reality, not hard facts, not logic, not evidence, not even the conditions you see with your physical eyes. The power that births your entire world is your imagination. And until you understand that, you will remain a servant to the very world you were born to shape. The ordinary mind says, I will believe it when I see it. But the awakened soul says, I will see it when I believe it. Your life is not happening to you, it is flowing from you. And the birthplace of that flow is your imagination. The moment you close your eyes and begin to see yourself in the life you desire, walking through your dream home, signing the $1 million contract, hearing the applause, breathing in freedom, that is the moment creation begins. It is not a fantasy. It is not childish daydreaming. It is spiritual law. The world around you may laugh at you, doubt you, even pity you for believing in the invisible. Let them. Because the invisible is more real than the visible. The unseen is more permanent than the seen. And everything you now experience was once invisible, intangible, held quietly in someone's inner world before it took form. What is your current condition? Is your bank account low? Are your surroundings modest? Do people treat you like you are average? Like you don't belong in the rooms you dream of entering? Good, because that is not your reality. It is simply the echo of past imagination. You are not stuck. You are simply living inside an expired image. And the moment you cast a new vision in your imagination and saturate your emotions with it as if it's happening now, the old image must dissolve. It has no choice. The external world bows before imagination. It cannot help but obey. This is why you must never be afraid of your current circumstances. They are not your truth. They are not your limit. They are not your destiny. They are old photos, printed from an outdated belief system. Change the belief, and the pictures will change. Change the vision, and the life must follow. There is no outer change without inner vision. And the inner vision must be more real to you than anything you see around you. When you wake up, don't measure your day by your to-do list. Measure it by how boldly you imagined. Don't judge your life by the conditions you see. Judge it by the reality you've already claimed in your spirit. You must see the wealth before it appears. You must feel the silk of your future wardrobe before you wear it. You must smell the leather of the luxury car before you sit in it. You must hear the sound of laughter in your dream home long before the keys are handed to you, because imagination is not a waiting room. It is the creative engine of reality. Do not underestimate the power of feeling. Emotion is the fuel that ignites imagination. When you imagine something with passion, with confidence, with gratitude, it takes root. And once a thing takes root in your subconscious, it becomes inevitable. You won't need to force results. You won't have to push. Life will begin to move around you, reorganizing circumstances in your favor, like pieces of a divine puzzle falling into place. People will say you're so lucky, but it's not luck. It's alignment. It's spiritual causation. It is you walking boldly through the halls of your imagination until the doors in the outer world open to match. Everything you see began in someone's mind. Every skyscraper, every private jet, every $1 million idea was first born in stillness, in the sacred place of the inner eye. And you have that same gift. The question is, are you using it to replay your past, or are you using it to paint your future? You are always imagining, whether consciously or unconsciously. Every complaint, every worry, every fear is a misuse of the gift. And every moment of joyful vision, every detailed fantasy of wealth and success, every scene you replay with gratitude and confidence is a sacred act of creation. You are either designing heaven or rehearsing hell. Choose wisely. Take time every day to imagine on purpose. Don't wait until you're alone or until it's quiet. Use every moment you can, on the train, in the shower, before sleep. Instead of scrolling your phone, scroll through your future. Instead of watching others live your dream, go live it in your mind. Enter the room of your highest self and stay there until you feel like you belong. And soon the physical doors will open without resistance. Do not let reality dictate what you believe. Let your belief dictate what becomes real. This is your power. This is the secret the world hides in plain sight. What you hold in your imagination with deep conviction is what you will hold in your hands. Imagination is the divine seed. Plant it daily, nurture it boldly, and know without a shadow of a doubt your rich reality is not coming. It's already here, waiting for you to feel it, live it, and walk straight into it. There is a principle so simple, yet so deeply transformative, that when you apply it consistently, your life will shift in ways that defy logic. That principle is this: live from the end. Do not live toward your dream. Do not live in pursuit of it. Live as if it is already done, as if the wish you've carried for years has been fulfilled in full, as if the future you long for is already your present reality. You were never meant to chase your desires. You were meant to embody them. And embodiment begins when you stop asking if something will happen and start declaring that it already has. You walk differently when you know you've already won. You speak differently when you feel as though your deepest desire has already been delivered. Your energy shifts from hunger to satisfaction, from desperation to confidence, from reaching to receiving. This is the hidden posture of those who manifest wealth and success effortlessly. They live from the end. Let us be clear. This is not a game of pretending. This is not about faking it until you make it. Pretending implies you're still separate from the outcome, still playing dress up with something you don't truly believe is yours. Living from the end is not about pretending. It's about possessing in consciousness what you have not yet touched in the physical. It's about merging with the future so completely that you become it now, before the world reflects it back to you. You are the actor, the scriptwriter, and the audience. So why keep rehearsing the role of the struggling dreamer when the role of the fulfilled millionaire is available right now? To live from the end means you close your eyes and feel the applause. You feel the softness of luxury sheets. You feel the lightness of financial freedom, not for a second, not for 5 minutes once a week, but until that feeling becomes your resting state. Until the joy, the power, and the security of that reality are more familiar to you than your current environment. It is not your circumstances that need to change. It is your internal climate. And the moment you dwell in the emotional state of the fulfilled desire, the universe bends itself to support that state. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for it, but because you became it. Here's the key: your imagination must not be separate from your identity. You cannot visualize wealth but still identify as broke. You cannot dream of abundance while still thinking like someone who is unworthy of it. Your inner reality must be synchronized. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your self-concept must agree. When they do, the outer world has no choice but to conform. And how do you get to that state of agreement? By repetition, by consistency, by catching yourself when your thoughts wander into fear and gently guiding them back into faith, by refusing to speak words that belong to your old life, by saying thank you before the package arrives, by blessing the money you haven't yet seen, by loving yourself as the person who already succeeded. Live from the end in everything. If you were already wealthy, how would you walk into a room? Would your head be down? Would your energy shrink to make others comfortable? No, you would carry quiet authority. You wouldn't need to announce yourself. Your presence would do that for you. That is how you must move now. If you already had financial freedom, how would you treat money? Would you fear every transaction? Would you hesitate to invest in your dreams? Or would you spend with confidence, knowing that more is always on the way? That is how you must behave now. If your dream had already come true, what would your mornings feel like? Would you dread waking up? Would you be trapped in anxiety? No, you would feel peace, purpose, gratitude. So you must feel those things now, not because your external world demands it, but because your inner world creates it. Your life is a mirror. It cannot reflect wealth back to you until you reflect wealth within yourself. And wealth begins as a state of being, a feeling, a decision, a knowing that refuses to wait for proof because it already is the proof. Let's go deeper. There are two versions of you running in parallel, the one who still waits and the one who already has. One is rooted in the past and the illusion of lack. The other is rooted in divine truth and unshakable confidence. The question is, which one do you wake up with each morning? Which one do you give the microphone to? The version you feed with your thoughts and emotions is the version that becomes dominant. And once it becomes dominant in your consciousness, it becomes visible in your experience. Living from the end means waking up each day and choosing that dominant version. It means being faithful to your future even when the present feels empty. It means acting in alignment with the reality you've claimed, acting like someone who is already supported, already loved, already rich. This is the unseen work of manifestation, the silent power of those who seem to have it all. They are not luckier, they are not smarter, they are simply aligned. And alignment doesn't come by wishing, it comes by being. You must become it in feeling, and once you feel it deeply and consistently, it will be drawn to you like a magnet, not by force, not by panic, but by identity. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. So every moment becomes a choice. Will I act from the dream or from the doubt? Will I speak from what I see or from what I know? Will I shrink back into old habits or will I rise into the version of me that already lives the life I crave? This is what it means to live from the end. And this is how you step into the rich reality that already exists now. Most people believe that money is something they have to go out and get, that it's locked behind effort, buried beneath hard work, waiting at the end of some long, winding path. But here is a truth that will shift the foundation of your entire reality. Money is not outside of you. It is an extension of you. It is a mirror of who you believe you are. Nothing more, nothing less. Money flows to the self-image. It does not obey effort. It obeys identity. This is why two people can be in the same room, with the same opportunities, the same information, the same contacts, and yet one attracts wealth easily, while the other constantly feels blocked, stuck, or left behind. It is not about talent. It is not about intelligence. It is not even about luck. It is about the internal blueprint they are operating from, the silent subconscious belief of who they are and what they're worth. You will never rise financially above the image you carry of yourself. You cannot outperform your own self-concept. If you secretly see yourself as someone who always just gets by, then that is the level where money will meet you, just enough. If you see yourself as someone who is unworthy of luxury, money will hesitate in your presence. If you believe you must always trade time for money, then it will only show up when you work and leave just as quickly when you stop. Not because money is punishing you, but because it is mirroring you. Money has no mind of its own. It is neutral, obedient, responsive. It has no morality, no preference, no emotion. It does not love one person more than another. It simply follows energy. It flows where it feels wanted, not where it is feared. It multiplies where it is respected, not where it is idolized. And most of all, it settles where the self-image allows it to stay. So the question is not, how can I get more money? The real question is, who do I believe I am in relationship to money? Because that belief will determine the boundaries of your financial reality. Do you see money as a friend or a threat? Do you feel safe with wealth, or does it make you anxious? Do you expect money to stay, or do you always feel like it's about to leave? These questions are not surface level, they are sacred. They reveal the silent programming that governs your life, usually without your permission. Understand this. Your self-concept is the thermostat of your abundance. No matter how much money you temporarily receive, if your self-image is not set to wealth, the money will escape. It will find a way to return to the level where your identity is set. This is why lottery winners often lose everything. It's not because they're foolish, it's because they never upgraded their self-concept. Their outer life changed, but their inner blueprint didn't. And eventually the outer must match the inner. The great secret is this: you don't become rich by chasing money. You become rich by becoming the version of yourself who lives in abundance. When you expand your self-concept, you expand the container that holds your wealth. You stop leaking money through guilt, fear, or shame. You stop sabotaging opportunities that would elevate your life. You stop playing small, not because someone told you to rise, but because your new identity can't fit in the old life anymore. So how do you shift your self-concept? First, you must observe yourself without judgment. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Notice what you say to yourself when you receive money. Notice what you feel when you lose it. What stories are you repeating? What phrases do you carry like sacred truth? Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not good with finances. I never have enough. These phrases may seem harmless, but they are scripts, and you are the actor playing them out. You must write a new script, one that reflects who you are becoming, not who you've been. And this new script must be lived, spoken, and imagined with intensity and repetition. You cannot dip your toe in abundance and expect to swim in millions. You must immerse yourself in the waters of wealth consciousness. Every thought, every decision, every emotion must begin to align with the version of you that already has what you desire. Speak differently. Stop saying, I can't afford it. Say instead, I'm choosing to invest differently right now. Stop saying, I'm broke. Say instead, I'm building wealth in new ways. Language is not just communication, it is creation. Every word either builds your reality or breaks it down. Speak only what you want to be true. Feel differently. Stop rehearsing fear every time a bill shows up. Instead, bless the bill and say, thank you for the service. The money is on its way. When you feel secure even when appearances suggest otherwise, you are declaring trust in a higher economy. The economy of the soul, where energy precedes matter and belief precedes evidence. Act differently. Dress as if you respect yourself. Walk with posture. Make decisions as if wealth belongs to you. This is not about spending recklessly or pretending. It's about aligning with the frequency of your desired life. Money loves structure. It loves clarity. It loves confidence. Show it that you know who you are, and it will respond. And most importantly, forgive your past money stories. Many of them were never yours to begin with. They were passed down by parents, teachers, media, society, people who were just trying to survive. You are not here to survive. You are here to remember, to reclaim the truth that wealth is your birthright, not your reward. When you shift your self-concept, you won't need to force success. You will attract it. People will say yes to your ideas without knowing why. Clients will be drawn to you. Opportunities will unfold. Why? Because you are no longer a beggar at the door of wealth. You are the house itself. You are the source. You were never meant to chase money. You were meant to reveal it through the expansion of your being, the elevation of your identity, and the purification of your beliefs. Money is not outside of you. It is simply a reflection of what you believe you are worth. Expand that belief, and money will expand with it. The secret that separates the few who rise from the many who remain stuck is not in action, effort, or opportunity. It is in identity, not who they are to the world, but who they are to themselves, who they believe themselves to be, deep in the quiet chambers of their inner world. And here is the great truth. You cannot create beyond your sense of self. You cannot have what you have not yet become. The life you desire, the wealth, the recognition, the freedom, it does not belong to the you who doubts. It does not belong to the you who questions your worth, who fears rejection, who plays small to make others comfortable. That life belongs to the version of you who already exists in the realm of imagination. The version of you who knows, not hopes, knows that abundance is your native language. To bring your desires into form, you must become the person who lives inside that reality, not one day, now. Everything begins and ends with identity. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. The universe does not respond to wishes, it responds to self-concept. It does not align with your words alone, it aligns with the frequency of your being. You can declare, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if your inner world screams, I'm still broke, then you are broadcasting contradiction, and contradiction creates delay. Your outer world is not punishing you, it's reflecting you. It's mirroring the version of you that you have practiced being. And if that version has lived in fear, lack, and unworthiness, then life will continue to present scenarios that confirm that identity until you choose a new one. The shift begins the moment you decide to no longer participate in the old script, when you stop rehearsing powerlessness, when you stop aligning with struggle, when you stop introducing yourself to life as someone who is still trying to get there and instead begin living from there. Ask yourself this: if I were already living in my highest reality, how would I think? How would I move? What decisions would I make today? What would I no longer tolerate? What would I invest in? How would I speak to myself? These are not hypothetical questions. They are spiritual tools. They are mirrors that reveal whether your current self matches your destined life. If the answer is no, if your current self would not belong in the room where your future lives, then you have work to do, not work in the outer world, work in the inner temple. You must begin to embody the version of you that your dream belongs to, the you who already lives in the home, the you who signs contracts with ease, the you who doesn't flinch at large amounts of money, the you who walks into high-end spaces without shrinking. That version of you is not fictional. It is real. It is already created. You are not building that person. You are aligning with them. And alignment is not performance. It is presence. It is a full-body agreement that says, I am who I say I am, even when no one else sees it yet, even when my bank account doesn't reflect it yet, even when the world tells me to be realistic. Because identity comes first. The evidence follows. This is why people sabotage abundance when it finally shows up. Their outer success outran their inner image. Their life expanded, but their sense of self stayed small. And since we always return to the level of our identity, they unconsciously destroy the very blessings they once begged for, not out of evil, but out of misalignment. So how do you shift your identity? It begins with imagination. You must see the new version of yourself so clearly that it begins to feel like home. Close your eyes and picture yourself not as a goal, but as a person who already has the results. Speak from that place, feel from that place. Ask, what would they do today, and then do it. And it continues with repetition. You do not change your self-image by dipping into it occasionally. You live in it, breathe it, reinforce it daily. Every choice becomes a declaration of who you believe you are. Every habit either anchors your new self or reinforces the old one. It deepens through decision. You must decide to no longer entertain the version of you that doubts. You must walk away from conversations, environments, and thoughts that keep you loyal to limitation. You must look at your current life and say, this is not my truth. This is my history. My truth is being written by who I am becoming. Your clothes should reflect your future, not your past. Your schedule should reflect who you are becoming, not who you've been. Your boundaries, your standards, your circle, everything must rise to match the identity you are stepping into. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You don't owe the world a watered-down version of yourself. You don't have to apologize for expanding. The people who are meant to walk with you will recognize your new self, not resent it. And the ones who don't, that's not rejection, it's realignment. This is not about pretending, this is about being. Pretending is exhausting, it's about proving. Being is effortless, it's about remembering. You are not becoming someone else. You are shedding what you are not. You are peeling away layers of doubt, fear, guilt, shame, until what remains is the you that your destiny always belonged to. Start small if you must. Speak differently. Hold yourself differently. Celebrate yourself not when the world claps, but when your soul whispers, you're finally acting like you know who you are. Be warned, the old self will try to return. It will show up through familiar thoughts, old habits, and voices that ask, who do you think you are? But now you have the answer. I am the one who already has it. I am the one who remembers. I am the one who finally returned to the truth of my wealth, my power, my purpose. Your desired reality is not waiting for a better version of your life. It's waiting for a truer version of you. So rise, not by force, but by choice, not by chasing results, but by becoming the one who attracts them. Because once your identity changes, everything else must follow. There is no arrival, no magical tomorrow where you finally become ready. There is only now. This very breath, this very thought, this very moment. That's all you've ever had, and that's all you'll ever need. The illusion that wealth is something that must be chased or earned or stumbled into through some future breakthrough is the greatest deception of our time. Because the truth, the quiet, sacred, liberating truth, is that the rich version of you already exists. Not later, not when the timing is right, not when the bills are paid, not when the world applauds. That version exists now, and the only thing separating you from that version is your unwillingness to step into it fully. You see, most people live their entire lives in a state of waiting. Waiting for confirmation, waiting for signs, waiting for permission, waiting for more money, more confidence, more support, more evidence that they are allowed to believe in the life they secretly crave. And while they wait, life waits too, matching their hesitation with silence. But life does not respond to hesitation. Life responds to being. It responds to certainty, to boldness, to the unapologetic embodiment of a reality not yet seen with the physical eye, but fully known by the soul. When you wait, you place your power in the future. You declare, I am not it yet, but one day I hope to be. But when you be, you pull the future into the now. You collapse time, you override delay. You become the doorway through which your new life rushes in. So the question is not, when will I become rich? The question is, why am I still choosing to live as if I'm not? What story are you still loyal to? What script are you still rehearsing? What excuse still feels safer than the truth that you were born for greatness? The rich version of you is not waiting for a miracle, it is the miracle. It is the self that breathes with freedom, that moves with certainty, that doesn't shrink in rooms filled with power, that doesn't apologize for abundance. That self is not arrogant or flashy, it is anchored, grounded in a divine knowing that wealth is not something you chase, but something you return to. Because wealth is your natural state. You were born into abundance. You were designed for expansion, but you were conditioned into limitation. You were taught that humility meant lack, that dreaming was dangerous, that wanting more was selfish, and so you traded being for waiting. But today, that trade can be undone. Today you can step back into the you who already exists in fullness. And you don't need to wait for the world to give you a reason. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You just need a decision, a quiet, holy decision that says, I am done waiting. I will live now as the one who already is. What does that mean practically? It means you wake up and you choose the energy of abundance. Before your feet hit the floor, you anchor into gratitude, not for what's coming, but for what already is. You give thanks for the life that your spirit already lives. You give thanks not for what you see, but for what you know. It means you walk into every space with the posture of someone who belongs, not arrogantly, but authentically, not to impress, but to express the fullness of your identity. You stop editing yourself to be palatable. You stop shrinking to fit rooms you've already outgrown. You stop waiting for permission to act like you matter. You matter now. You belong now. It means you stop negotiating with your doubts. You stop having long conversations with your fears. You stop inviting your old self to the table when you know that version of you has nothing new to say. Doubt will always ask for proof. Fear will always ask for safety. But the version of you that lives in wealth, that version doesn't ask. It knows. It claims. It walks forward without needing confirmation. And that's the key. You must be willing to walk forward without confirmation, because the world does not give signs to those who wait. It gives signs to those who move. The staircase appears after the first step. The support shows up after the decision is made, not before. The rich version of you doesn't wait for wealth to act wealthy. It acts wealthy now, through decisions, boundaries, thoughts, and actions. That version respects time. It invests in the right environments. It prioritizes self-care. It speaks with power. It does not entertain poverty mindset conversations. It does not stay stuck in cycles of scarcity just to feel accepted. That version is loyal to the life it has chosen, not to the life it was conditioned into. And make no mistake, you can step into this version now. You don't need to fix everything first. You don't need a perfect track record. You don't need to clean up your past before you step into your future. The rich version of you does not care where you've been. It only responds to who you're being. Being is more than appearance. It's more than the car you drive or the numbers in your account. It is a frequency, a decision, an inner agreement that says, I'm not becoming rich. I am rich right now, in this body, in this breath, in this moment. And when you align with that frequency, not once, not occasionally, but consistently, you begin to emit a different signal. You attract different conversations, different opportunities, different people. The world begins to reorganize around the new you, not because the world changed, but because you did. This is the secret most people miss. They try to change the world first. They try to fix circumstances, rewrite relationships, restructure their job. But the world is only a mirror. If you want the mirror to show a new image, you must first change the one standing in front of it. So stop asking, when will I get there? Realize you are already there, and the only thing left to do is to act like it, think like it, speak like it, walk like it, not once, not when it's easy, now, especially now. Because the rich version of you has been waiting, not to arrive, but to be acknowledged. And the moment you acknowledge it, you awaken it. And once awakened, it does not retreat. It begins to expand. And the life you've been dreaming of, it's not ahead of you. It's within you. The only thing left is for you to stop waiting and start being. So now you know, you were never meant to wait. You were never meant to chase. You were never meant to suffer under the illusion that wealth was somewhere far beyond your reach. The truth has been whispering to you all along. The rich reality already exists. It's here, it's now, and it's yours. You've heard it. Wealth is not about luck, timing, or chance. It is a state of being, a decision you make in silence, a frequency you choose to live in, a version of you that already exists and is waiting for one thing: recognition. There is a truth so powerful, so absolute, that when it is embraced, it alters the course of a person's destiny. That truth is simple. You already have what you desire the moment you assume it's yours. You see, the world outside is nothing more than a reflection of the world within. And if you wish to see something change around you, it must first shift inside of you. You were not sent into this world to struggle endlessly, to beg for crumbs when you were meant to command banquets. You were not born to wish and wonder while watching others live the life you dream about. You were given the same divine gift that creates worlds, your imagination. And through it, you have the ability to step into any reality you choose. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for signs. Stop telling yourself that you're not ready, not qualified, not deserving. You are. The only thing standing between you and what you want is your own belief that something stands between you and what you want. That belief is the wall. Tear it down by assuming it already belongs to you. Can you feel it? Not just hope for it. Feel it. The relationship, the house, the health, the financial freedom. It is not a matter of time. It is a matter of assumption. The moment you act as if, the moment you walk with the posture of a man or woman who already possesses it, the universe begins rearranging itself to reflect your new reality. You must carry the feeling with you like a fragrance, like a rhythm in your bones. If you want abundance, carry yourself like someone who already has more than enough. If you want love, walk like someone who is already deeply cherished. If you want success, speak and think and breathe as if your victory is old news, not in arrogance but in certainty, not in ego but in faith. People may call you delusional, let them. They called visionaries mad until the vision came to life. They called pioneers foolish until the world caught up with their faith. Don't explain yourself. Don't defend your inner world. The evidence will appear, but it only comes after the assumption is complete within you. When you change the way you see yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. When you assume your ideal with conviction, without doubt, the outer world bends to meet your inner command. It must. Reality is obedient to belief. Life is not about striving endlessly to earn what you want. It's about boldly assuming it is already yours and living from that end. To act as if you can get everything in life is not arrogance. It is spiritual alignment. It is knowing who you are and refusing to play small when you were created for greatness. It is trusting the unseen more than the seen. It is walking through fire with the assurance that your destiny cannot be burned. So stop praying for what you doubt. Stop begging for what you fear. Begin to live the prayer. Become the embodiment of your desire. Let your thoughts, your emotions, your actions all move in harmony with your imagined state. And do not waver. Do not wait for approval. You are not here to be realistic. You are here to be miraculous. Everything you want is already yours, if you would only dare to live as if it is. To understand the true source of creation, one must first realize that everything begins within the mind. The outer world is not the cause of your circumstances, it is the effect. The real power lies within the unseen realm of thought, belief, and inner knowing, and within that realm, assumption is the creative force. It is the spark that ignites the invisible and draws it into the visible. The world responds not to your wishes or your desperation, but to your inner assumption. You do not get what you want, you get what you assume. When you assume something to be true, fully, deeply, and emotionally, you align your inner world with that outcome, and the universe has no choice but to reflect it. The law of life is that consciousness is the only reality. Your assumption becomes the seed planted in the soil of your subconscious mind, and like any seed, when watered with emotion and repetition, it begins to take root and grow. It is not a matter of hoping that something will happen. It is the bold declaration within yourself that it has already happened, and then living from that conviction. You have likely experienced this many times already, whether consciously or not. Think back to a time when you felt certain of an outcome, whether good or bad, and somehow that very outcome unfolded. Perhaps you feared the worst and it came. Or maybe you believed something wonderful would happen and it did. These are not coincidences. They are demonstrations of the power of assumption. Whatever you consistently accept as true in your inner world will express itself in your outer world. That is the nature of creation. To assume is not to pretend. It is not mere imagination without feeling. It is to embody the truth of the desire within you, to feel the result in your body, in your emotions, in your mind, as though it were already accomplished. This inner acceptance is what sets everything in motion. When you assume something long enough, it becomes part of your self-concept. And once something becomes a part of how you see yourself, the world mirrors it back to you without resistance. The challenge is not in getting the world to change, but in getting yourself to believe that change is possible. When you grasp this, you stop trying to force results in the outer world and you begin to gently, faithfully, and persistently rearrange your inner world. You no longer pray from a place of lack, hoping to be heard. Instead, you pray from fulfillment, knowing it is already done. You shift your prayers from begging to thanksgiving, because when you truly assume something, you are grateful for it. Not because it's on its way, but because you know it's already yours. So many people live in a constant state of wanting, waiting, and wishing. They believe the power is out there, held by fate, by other people, by luck. But the truth is, nothing has ever been created outside of consciousness. Before a house is built, it exists in the imagination of the architect. Before a book is written, it lives in the heart of the author. Before a life is transformed, the transformation is first accepted as a reality within the mind of the one who dares to believe. When you assume your desire is fulfilled, you begin to think differently. You begin to walk differently. Your choices shift, your energy changes. People respond to you in ways you never experienced before, not because the world suddenly decided to favor you, but because you changed the root cause, your assumption, and the fruit must follow the root. It is a mistake to wait for signs before you believe. That is the way of the world, and it leads to endless waiting. Instead, take the inner step first. Assume that you are already the person who has what they desire. If you want to be loved, assume you are already deeply loved. If you want to be wealthy, assume you are already living in abundance. If you want to be healed, assume you are already whole. Carry that assumption with you as if it were the most natural truth in the world. You do not need to convince anyone else. You do not need to prove anything to others. Your assumption is not for them, it is for you. It is the quiet inner decision that you are no longer living from lack, but from fulfillment. The moment you make that inner shift, everything around you begins to shift to match it. Opportunities appear, people show up, doors open. But these are not the source, they are the reflection. The cause was always your assumption. To live in this way requires courage. It requires a willingness to ignore the evidence of the senses and trust the deeper truth within. It means choosing to believe in what is unseen simply because you have declared it as real within yourself. And it means refusing to entertain doubt even when things appear unchanged. The power of assumption is not an immediate gratification. It is in steadfast inner conviction, maintained without wavering, until the world catches up to what you already know is true. Most people want the world to give them a reason to believe. But the truth is, belief gives the world a reason to respond. That is the divine order. You do not wait for success to feel successful. You feel successful, and then success follows. You do not wait for love to feel lovable. You feel lovable, and then love arrives. This is not positive thinking. It is spiritual law. The mind is the workshop of creation. An assumption is the blueprint that guides the builder. You do not build a palace without a plan. You do not live a transformed life without a vision. And that vision must be embraced, not in the future, but now, not as a goal to chase, but as a reality to live from. The assumption that something is already yours frees you from the prison of striving and puts you in alignment with your higher self. That is the place from which miracles are born. The moment you realize that you are the operant power, your entire relationship with life changes. No longer do you see yourself as a victim of circumstances. No longer do you bow to the external world as if it has authority over your destiny. You awaken to the truth that everything around you is responding to the state of your consciousness. You are not at the mercy of luck, fate, or other people's decision. You are the cause, not the effect. This is not a theory to debate, it is a law to be lived. Most people are conditioned to believe that life happens to them. They believe that they must react to events, respond to problems, and wait for opportunities to come knocking. But the one who knows the truth walks differently. They understand that the world does not move independently of their awareness. It moves because of their awareness. Everything that enters your experience does so in response to your inner state. You are not just a participant in the play of life. You are the scriptwriter, the director, and the lead actor. To be the operant power means that you accept full responsibility for your life, not in a way that causes guilt or blame, but in a way that empowers. You stop pointing fingers, you stop waiting for permission, you stop hoping someone else will come save you. You understand that your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions, these are the tools by which you shape your reality. And when used deliberately, they become instruments of transformation. Many resist this truth because it places the power back in their hands. And with that power comes accountability. It's much easier to say that someone else is the reason for your pain, your lack, your failures. But as long as you do that, you remain powerless. You remain stuck. The moment you say, I created this, you unlock the ability to say, I can uncreate it, I can create something new. That is freedom. That is authority. This world is a mirror. And it does not reflect what you wish, it reflects what you accept. It reflects what you feel to be true. That means you must be careful not only with your words, but with the beliefs that lie beneath them. Saying, I am wealthy while feeling poor does nothing. But when you say it with conviction, with inner knowing, with the feeling of already having it, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your state. You are the center of that movement. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. Every thought you nurture, every feeling you hold, every assumption you persist in, these are the ingredients of your tomorrow. They are not small or insignificant. They are everything. Your world bends in obedience to the identity you claim. If you walk through life identifying as someone who always struggles, then struggle will meet you at every corner. But if you rise and take hold of the identity of one who is favored, blessed, abundant, and protected, then those very experiences will begin to flow toward you. This is not about arrogance, it is about alignment. It is about claiming the truth of who you really are, a creator, made in the image of divine intelligence, possessing the same power to speak reality into existence through thought and belief. That power is not something you must earn, it is already yours. The question is whether you are willing to use it, whether you are ready to stop reacting to the old story and start creating the new one. When you accept that you are the operant power, you stop begging the universe and start commanding your world with quiet confidence. You no longer chase validation because you know your value is not up for debate. You no longer compete for success because you know there is no shortage. You no longer fear rejection because you recognize that nothing can truly be withheld from you when you align with your inner authority. The one who understands this walks with peace, not because everything outside is perfect, but because everything inside is rooted. There is a calm that comes when you no longer wait on signs and start becoming the sign. There is a power that flows through you when you stop asking for change and start embodying change. You do not need the world to shift for you to feel empowered. You feel empowered, and then the world shifts. Do not be deceived by appearances. The facts of life may scream one thing, but they are only the echo of past assumptions. What you see today is the residue of who you were yesterday, and who you become today through your choices, your assumptions, your identity will shape the world of tomorrow. Every moment is a seed, and every seed responds to the hand that plants it. You have that hand. You have that choice. Let others doubt, let others wait, let others blame. You, however, are awake, you know the truth. And because you know, you no longer give power to circumstances, you no longer bow to fear. You walk with the inner certainty that life is not something happening to you, it is something rising from you, from your mind, from your spirit, from your assumptions. This realization is not meant to inflate your ego, it is meant to awaken your soul. You are not here to survive, you are here to create. You are not here to be a puppet of fate. You are here to shape your experience by the force of belief. Every time you choose to think higher, to feel better, to assume more boldly, you declare to the universe, I am not at the mercy of life. Life is at the mercy of my vision. You do not have to convince anyone of this. Your results will speak. Your peace will speak. Your joy will speak. The world may not understand it. They may question how you attract what you do. Let them. You are not here to be understood. You are here to remember who you are. You are here to walk in alignment with the infinite power that moves through you. And once you accept that role, not as a servant of life, but as the operant force behind it, then nothing is beyond your reach. To live from the end is to collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment. It is to erase the illusion that what you seek is somewhere out there, waiting to arrive at some unknown time. Instead, you bring the future into the now. You behave, think, and feel as if the wish has already been fulfilled. This isn't about pretending, it is about embodying a deeper truth. When you live from the end, you are not concerned with how or when something will come to pass. You rest in the knowing that it already exists in your reality, and you simply align yourself with it. The world teaches us to strive, to chase, to earn our desires through effort and waiting. But this leads to frustration and endless pursuit, because the more you chase something, the more you affirm its absence. When you live toward the end, always thinking it's ahead of you, you are declaring that you do not yet possess it, and so your experience continues to reflect that very lack. But when you live from the end, you stop seeking and start being. You inhabit the reality, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, before it appears physically. And by doing so, you cause it to appear. It is not enough to merely visualize or to wish. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let it become your dwelling place. You wake up with it. You carry it in your posture, your tone, your inner dialogue. Your actions begin to reflect the identity of the one who already has the thing you desire. And in doing this, you train your subconscious to accept this new state as normal. Once it becomes normal to your subconscious, the world must bend to it. Not might, must. Because the world is not separate from your mind. It is your mind turned outward. When you live from the end, you are no longer reactive. You do not look at the circumstances around you and allow them to dictate your inner state. Instead, your inner state dictates how you interpret and respond to the world. You become unmoved by delay, unaffected by obstacles. You are no longer thrown into doubt when things don't immediately appear. Why? Because you are not waiting. You are living from the reality you've chosen. And you know it must come into form because it already lives within you. There is a difference between hoping and knowing. Hope carries uncertainty, a silent fear that it might not happen. But when you live from the end, you've crossed the threshold into knowing. You don't need to see it to believe it. You believe it, and that is why you will see it. This is not delusion. This is spiritual intelligence. It is aligning your identity with the end result so that all things necessary for its realization are drawn to you naturally and effortlessly. You must understand that the end is not something to wait for. The end is something to feel now. You don't become successful by constantly hoping to be successful one day. You become successful by stepping into the identity of someone who already is, in thought, in emotion, and in attitude. That identity then begins to shape your choices, your energy, and the opportunities that come your way. Life reflects who you are, not what you want. This principle demands persistence, because the world will often show you the opposite. It will challenge your assumption. It will ask, "Are you sure?" And your job is to remain firm in your inner conviction, to stay loyal to your imagined end, no matter what your senses report. The outer world is slow to catch up, but it always catches up. What you are within, the world becomes without. Living from the end is about bringing peace to your heart, even before the conditions of your life change. It is about removing the tension, the striving, the constant grasping. You stop asking, "When will it come?" and start saying, "Thank you, it is done." You replace questions with declarations. You replace worry with gratitude. You stop trying to create, and you start allowing the creation to unfold from your state of being. The most powerful thing you can do is feel now what you would feel then. If your desire were fulfilled today, how would you feel? Calm, grateful, confident, safe? Then feel that now. Not in short bursts, but as a continuous inner state. Make it your emotional home. That state of feeling is the magnet that draws the physical manifestation to you. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Living from the end also teaches you to detach from the process. You no longer need to figure out the how. That is not your concern. Your role is not to orchestrate the entire universe. Your role is to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled and trust that life will arrange the pieces. Let the outcome be your only focus. Not the path, not the timing, not the method. Just the end. The more you try to control the process, the more you delay the manifestation. But when you surrender to the end, the process unfolds perfectly. You may be tempted to say, "But nothing has changed." And yet everything has changed, because you have changed. And when you change, the world eventually has no choice but to reflect it. Your job is not to constantly check if it's working. Your job is to persist in the assumption that it already has. Imagine a gardener planting a seed. He does not dig it up every day to see if it's growing. He trusts the process. He knows that what was planted with time and nourishment must bloom. So too with your assumptions. Every day you are either living from a state of fulfillment or a state of lack. There is no in between. Every thought, every word, every action is a declaration of who you are and what you believe to be true. If you catch yourself saying, "One day I'll have it," correct yourself. That day is now. That identity is now. You don't step into it in the future. You step into it today, and your world follows. Do not be swayed by what others see or say. This is not their vision. It is yours. This is not their reality, it is yours. The end belongs to you, and only you. And when you live from it, you pull it closer with every breath, every thought, every movement. You become the living evidence of the invisible. You become the container that holds the miracle before it arrives. And eventually the world will match the shape of the dream you held long, before it was visible to anyone else. Feeling is the secret, because it bypasses all logic and pierces directly into the heart of reality. It is the language of creation, the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the key that unlocks the gates of manifestation. You can speak affirmations all day long, visualize with intensity, and surround yourself with reminders of your goal. But unless those efforts are infused with genuine feeling, they remain hollow. It is not enough to think about what you want. You must feel it as though it is already yours. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not merely a tool. It is the cause. It is the very substance from which your reality takes form. Many people misunderstand this principle and believe that mechanical repetition is enough. But the subconscious mind does not respond to empty phrases or cold logic. It responds to emotion, to belief felt deeply, to the sensation that something is real. When you impress a feeling upon your inner being, it takes root and begins to grow, regardless of whether your current circumstances reflect it or not. The subconscious does not argue, it does not analyze, it accepts. And what it accepts, it expresses. That is why feeling is everything. When you feel something, you enter into the experience. It becomes real to your body, your mind, your spirit. You are no longer on the outside looking in. You are within the scene, living it. And because you are living it internally, your external world begins to mirror that reality. It may not happen instantly, but it must happen inevitably. Because your feeling has become a new command to the universe. The deeper and more consistent the feeling, the more quickly the outer world aligns with it. You must remember that your imagination is not a fantasy, it is your creative workshop. When you enter it with feeling, you are not daydreaming, you are shaping reality. Imagine yourself holding what you want. Hear the sounds, see the colors, feel the textures. Let your heart swell with gratitude as if the desire has already been satisfied. Let the joy of it radiate through you. This is not pretending. This is activating the power within you to bring the unseen into the seen. Every desire you hold is seeking expression, and it uses your feeling as the pathway. You are the channel through which the invisible becomes visible. But if your dominant feeling is doubt, worry, or lack, then that is what flows through you. Your outer world is simply the echo of your inner state. So the question is not what you want, but what you are feeling, because you cannot consistently feel lack and expect abundance to appear. You cannot dwell in fear and expect peace. The law is clear. You become what you feel. It is easy to speak about desires. It is another thing entirely to feel them fulfilled. This takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes the willingness to turn away from the noise of appearances and dive deep into the silence of conviction. When the world tells you nothing has changed, when the evidence screams that the dream is still distant, you must close your eyes, breathe deeply, and return to the feeling. Return to the end. Return to the knowing that what you have claimed within is more real than anything your senses can report. The feeling must be natural. It must feel like home. Not a distant hope or a temporary high, but a stable, anchored sense that this is who you are now, that this is your life now. When you dwell in that feeling, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't strive, you simply live, and the world responds. People, opportunities, resources, all of it begins to gravitate toward you, not because you're chasing them, but because you're radiating the frequency of fulfillment. And life, being obedient, brings to you whatever matches that signal. Do not underestimate how subtle this can be. A single moment of deep, vivid feeling can outweigh hours of empty effort. One genuine encounter with the feeling of your wish fulfilled can plant a seed so powerful that the rest of your life begins to reshape around it. That is how precise this law is. That is how sensitive your subconscious is to feeling. It listens, it receives, and then it executes. Silently, faithfully, without question. But this also means you must guard your emotional state carefully. You must become the keeper of your inner world, not in a state of fear, but in a state of awareness. Watch what you entertain emotionally. Pay attention to what you rehearse in your mind. If your inner dialogue is soaked in fear, insecurity, or bitterness, your world reflects those tones. If your inner world is rooted in gratitude, joy, and quiet confidence, then your life will begin to match that beauty. It's not about forcing yourself to feel something artificial. It's about choosing a scene, an image, a moment that feels real to you and entering into it so fully that it leaves an imprint on your being. The more you revisit it, the more natural it becomes. And soon it is no longer a visualization, it is your state of being. It becomes your emotional home. And that emotional home becomes the blueprint your world follows. This is why faith without feeling is powerless. You cannot mentally agree with an idea while emotionally rejecting it and expect it to manifest. Your heart and mind must move together. There must be alignment. You must believe not just in thought, but in experience. You must live the answered prayer, even before it is answered in form, because in spirit it already is. Let your feelings be the proof. Let your inner world be so full of the reality you desire that there is no space left for fear. Let your heart be convinced before your eyes are, because when the feeling is real, the world must obey. It cannot help but reflect what you have dared to feel. That is the law, that is the secret, and it is yours to use. Faith is not passive. It is not the silent hope that something might happen someday. It is not a distant dream wrapped in hesitation or a fragile belief that crumbles at the first sign of difficulty. True faith is power. It is movement. It is the unwavering stance that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. It is the decision to hold your inner truth even when everything around you appears to contradict. And when you understand that faith overrides circumstance, you begin to live in a world no longer dictated by the senses, but ruled by the spirit. Circumstances are never final unless you accept them as final. They are not fixed, not permanent, not ultimate truths. They are reflections, echoes of past thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. What you see today is the residue of yesterday's assumptions, and what you will see tomorrow depends on what you dare to assume and feel today. The moment you accept this, you become free. You no longer ask permission from the outside world to feel secure or joyful or successful. You no longer wait for the environment to justify your faith. You believe first, and the evidence follows. Faith does not concern itself with appearances. It does not shrink in the face of delay or disappointment. It walks steadily, even when the road disappears beneath the feet. It smiles in the dark, not because the light has returned, but because it knows the light is already on its way. Faith is not blind. It sees clearly, but it chooses to see from within rather than without. It places its trust in the unseen power that governs all life, and in doing so it rises above fear, doubt, and every limitation that the senses may try to impose. The one who walks by faith is not fooled by facts. They do not deny the facts, but they do not bow to them. They recognize that facts can change, that what is true today can become untrue tomorrow, that history is filled with moments where the impossible became real because someone refused to accept what the world called reality. That same power is available to you now. The power to look at a bank account with nothing in it and still feel wealthy. The power to be surrounded by loneliness and still feel deeply loved. The power to face illness and still feel the energy of healing flowing through every cell of your being. Faith is not about pretending the problem doesn't exist. It's about knowing that the problem is not permanent. It's about anchoring your identity in the outcome, not the obstacle. And that is where many fall short. They look at the situation, they analyze it, they measure it, and then they allow it to define their belief. But faith reverses the process. It begins with belief and lets that belief define the situation. When you live in this way, your faith becomes the creative force that shapes your world, not the reactionary force that merely responds to it. Faith requires discipline, not in effort, but in focus. The discipline to return again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The discipline to stay loyal to the inner vision even when outer results are slow or seem absent. The discipline to hold your assumptions steady while the winds of doubt try to knock you off balance. You must treat your desired state as real, as present, as unshakable, regardless of what your senses report. And this is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Because when faith is sustained long enough, it becomes reality. Not in some distant future, but in a way that sneaks up on you quietly, smoothly, as if it had always been there. The world begins to change, not because it decided to, but because you changed. Because your internal world became so saturated with belief that the external world had no choice but to conform. That is the miracle of faith. It doesn't demand, it doesn't chase, it simply is. And that unwavering presence calls into being everything that matches it. There will be moments when doubt tries to take over, when the world seems loud and cruel, and your inner vision feels small. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when your faith becomes forged like steel. Anyone can believe when things are easy. But the one who believes when all seems lost is the one who masters the law. That belief becomes a light in the darkness. It becomes a compass when the path is unclear. It becomes a fire that cannot be extinguished by delay or denial. You must be stubborn in your belief, not irrational, not reckless, but deeply convicted. You must hold your faith as if your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The life you want, the reality you dream of, the peace, the love, the abundance, it all depends on whether or not you are willing to believe in it before it shows up. Whether you are willing to walk as if it is yours before anyone else can see it. Whether you can look in the mirror and see not what is, but what will be, and feel no gap between the two. Faith is not an emotion that rises and falls with the weather. It is a decision, a choice to believe in the invisible order of things, a choice to align your thoughts, your emotions, your assumptions with a higher truth. And when that choice is made consistently, it becomes a way of life. You begin to wake up with certainty. You begin to move with confidence. You begin to radiate a presence that others cannot quite explain, because something in you is rooted, grounded, untouchable. Faith overrides circumstance because it operates from a higher plane. It is not subject to time, it is not delayed by logic. It moves freely, bringing to you what you are brave enough to claim. And that is the invitation being extended to you now. Will you allow what you see to define what you believe, or will you let what you believe redefine what you see? The choice is always yours. The power has always been yours. And the moment you choose faith, the world begins to shift silently and faithfully in your favor. Close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to awaken. Awaken to the unseen world that shapes the visible. You have been taught to believe only what you can touch, measure, and prove with your eyes open. But reality is not born from what you see. It is born from what you imagine, what you feel, and what you dare to accept as true before any evidence arrives. The secret isn't in waiting for proof. The power is in assuming the proof is already yours. The world bows to the image you hold within. Not tomorrow, not when you earn it, not when you work harder. Now, this moment, that's the power you've been given. Act as if you see it for yourself first, not with your physical eyes, but with the eyes of inner vision, of faith, of knowing. For that is the only seeing that creates. Most live backwards. They wait to see something change before they change within. They wait for someone to love them before they feel lovable. They wait for the bank balance to grow before they feel wealthy. They wait for the doctor's report to improve before they feel well. But life does not respond to hesitation. It responds to conviction. And conviction is born in the unseen realm where only you and God reside. You are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your assumption. What you accept as real within becomes law without. So act as if you see for yourself first. Feel the outcome before it unfolds. Walk with the calm confidence of one who already knows how the story ends. Others may call it delusion, But those same people will one day call you lucky because you believed in silence. You stood still and saw the salvation of your desire. Ask yourself, how would you speak if you already had it? How would you move if it were already yours? How would you think, love, give, sleep, wake, and breathe if what you wanted was no longer a desire but a fact? Don't wait for the world to change its reflection. Change the image you hold, and the mirror must comply. Your imagination is not a playground, it is a workshop, a holy temple where the future is carved out of feeling. Do not underestimate the whispers of your inner world. They are not fantasies, they are blueprints, plans, decrees waiting to be made flesh. You must act with the assurance of one who has seen, not seen with eyes, but with spirit. That invisible seeing is the foundation of all miracles. You don't beg reality to bend, you command it through assumption. And that command is not loud or boastful, it is quiet, firm, and unmoved. It does not flinch in the face of contradiction. It does not panic when things look the opposite. It holds because it knows the outer must follow the inner. There is no waiting in the spiritual world, there is only claiming, only possessing. The moment you see for yourself within, the process begins. Do not ask when, do not ask how. Time is a servant of belief. Circumstances are slaves to your inner world. Persist in your assumption and let the winds of reality turn in your favor. Do you want freedom? Then walk as if you are already free. Do you want wealth? Then live as though lack has no place in your life. Do you want love? Then become the embodiment of love, radiating wholeness rather than longing. You cannot attract what you believe is missing. You attract what you believe is already present. That is the great paradox and the great power. Every time you act as if you see it for yourself first, you honor the God within you. You align yourself with divine authority. You step into the original power that said, let there be, and there was. This power does not explain, it does not wait, it does not apologize, it declares. And then it rests, knowing the world must shape itself around that word. Stop looking outside for permission. Stop asking others if your dream is valid. The only validation you need is your own assumption. You are not waiting for a door to open. You are the one who opens it by walking as though it already stands wide before you. Every step you take in faith is a seed sown into the soil of reality. And what you plant in feeling, you will harvest in form. So today, begin. Begin to see for yourself first. Begin to think like one who already has. Feel it, wear it, live in it. Refuse to negotiate with doubt. Do not let the echo of an old life keep you from the new one that is calling your name. Be bold, be still, be certain. You do not need the world to show you, you need only to see it within, and the world will catch up. Close your eyes to the world and open them inward. The first and most sacred act of creation does not begin with your hands or with your voice. It begins with your inner eye. The imagination, that quiet, invisible realm where you see for yourself what no one else can yet see. It is in that space when you dare to hold an image, a scene, a reality, and treat it as fact before the world has any evidence, that you activate the true power of creation. The world outside of you is not the cause of your life, it is the effect. It is a mirror, nothing more. And mirrors do not initiate, they reflect. You must become the initiator. You must see it within, not as a wish, not as a hope, not as a maybe, but as something already done. People believe they're waiting on time, waiting on chances, waiting on opportunities, but time is not holding back your blessing. Your refusal to see it inwardly is the only delay. You say, I'll believe it when I see it. But life is always whispering back, "You'll see it when you believe it." You must reverse the order. Inner vision must come before outer confirmation. Think of the artist who paints a masterpiece. He does not wait for the canvas to tell him what to paint. He closes his eyes, sees the final creation in his mind, and begins to move his hand in line with that vision. Every stroke is guided by what is already completed in his imagination. In the same way, your life will begin to shape itself according to the image you dare to see and feel inside yourself. Most people live as prisoners of what is. They react, they adjust, they wait for something to happen so they can respond. But those who create their lives on purpose do not respond to the world, they summon it. They impose their inner vision on it. They say, "This is who I am, this is what I have, this is what I walk in," and the world, like a faithful servant, rearranges itself to match the belief held within. The inner world is the cause, the outer world is the result. There is no other order. To attempt to fix life by rearranging things outside of you, while your inner world remains the same, is to decorate the mirror and hope your reflection changes. But nothing in the mirror moves until you move. This is the reason the dreamers, the visionaries, and the so-called crazy ones are often misunderstood. They walk with a confidence that seems irrational. They speak as if what they want is already true. And people laugh, they mock, they say, "Who does he think he is?" But deep inside, that person is holding the seed of reality. They are seeing for themselves first. And that is why one day when the laughter fades, the world will marvel, not because something lucky happened to them, but because they knew how to make the invisible become visible. They stayed loyal to the image within when no one else believed it. That is the great secret, to remain faithful to the vision when there's no evidence, no support, and no sign. That's where power lives. Children understand this power better than most adults. A child can close their eyes and believe they are a superhero. And for those moments, they live in that world. They see it, they feel it, they act as if it's real. And in that moment, to them, it is real. But then the adult world teaches them to doubt, to fear, to only believe what is already proven. And so they grow up and forget how to create. They wait, they plead, they settle, and they wonder why life feels flat and uninspired. The truth is, they've stopped seeing, they've stopped imagining, they've stopped acting as if. They've forgotten that the only eyes that matter are the eyes of the heart. Inner vision is not a fantasy. It is instruction to the universe. It is the blueprint sent to reality saying, "Build this." When you hold a scene in your mind and return to it day after day, not with desperation, but with love and certainty, the wheels begin to turn. You may not see it immediately, but under the surface, movement has begun. Resources are shifting. People are being nudged. Doors are unlocking. But none of that can happen unless you first dare to see for yourself. You must be the author of your own movie, not the audience waiting to see how it ends. Take the pen back. Write the scene. Feel the outcome. Sit in the theater of your imagination and play the movie of your future again and again until it feels more real than your current surroundings. Reality as you know it is only hardened imagination. What you see now is the result of what you imagined before, whether consciously or unconsciously. And what you will see tomorrow depends entirely on what you are willing to see today, not with your eyes, but with your belief. The most important question you must ask yourself is not what do I want, but what do I see? Because if you can see it, really see it, own it, feel it, embody it, then nothing can stop it from becoming your world. But if you cannot see it inside, no amount of striving will make it appear outside. So practice daily the art of inner seeing. Close your eyes and become who you want to be. Don't wait for a change in circumstances. Become it in thought. Feel it in your body. Walk in it mentally. Speak from it emotionally. Carry it like a secret that only you and God know about, and soon the world will know it too. Because the world has no choice but to reflect the image that burns most brightly within you. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to surrender your senses and fully immerse yourself in the invisible reality of your desire as though it were already yours. This is not imagination as a tool for escape. It is imagination used as an engine of manifestation. When you assume the feeling, you're not pretending. You're not hoping. You are aligning with a reality that already exists within you, and by feeling it as real, you give it permission to express itself in the world around you. Most people misunderstand this principle. They believe that if they want something, they must wish harder, pray louder, or act more desperately. But desperation is not faith. Longing is not fulfillment. Wanting something only reinforces its absence. The moment you say, "I want this," you are declaring that you do not have it. And what you feel most consistently is what life responds to. So if your dominant emotional state is one of lack, then you will experience more lack no matter how much you try to attract its opposite. But when you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, the entire tone of your being shifts. You walk differently, you think differently. You speak with a new rhythm, and you act from a different center of gravity. That shift is what creation listens to. To assume the feeling is to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You bring the future into the now. You collapse time with the force of your inner conviction. It is not merely imagining a thing. You must become the version of yourself who already lives in that reality. How would you feel if the thing you desire were already true? Would there be relief? Would there be peace? Would there be joy? Would there be a sense of lightness in your chest or a new breath of freedom in your body? That feeling is the signature of the state you wish to enter, and once you step into it emotionally, you begin to attract circumstances, people, and events that confirm that emotional reality. Let's say you desire financial abundance. The mistake is to dwell in the emotion of needing money, worrying about money, or chasing after it with anxiety. That only makes the absence of money your emotional home. But when you assume the feeling of already being abundant, even if your outer world doesn't reflect it yet, you create a magnetic field that aligns with prosperity. You begin to think like someone who has enough. You begin to give, share, and move with a sense of flow rather than fear. That internal security, that emotional assurance, begins to mold the outer world to match it. Life follows your dominant vibration, not your spoken wishes, but the silent language of your emotions. This is why nighttime is powerful. In those quiet hours, just before sleep, your mind drifts into that fertile space where the subconscious listens without resistance. If you go to bed feeling poor, unloved, or broken, that feeling becomes the soil of tomorrow's experience. But if you deliberately relax into the feeling of your desire fulfilled, if you fall asleep as the man who already has what he once only dreamed of, then your subconscious takes that as truth and begins to shape reality around that truth. You do not need to manipulate the world. You only need to change the emotional state from which you operate. That change happens in stillness, in silence, in the privacy of your inner sanctuary. The world is a mirror, but a delayed one. It reflects not what you momentarily feel, but what you consistently dwell in. So the question is not, what do I want to feel, but what am I repeatedly feeling now? You can say all the right words, you can affirm wealth, love, health, and success, but if you go about your day feeling anxious, inferior, or desperate, then your true command to the universe is not your words, it is your emotional tone. That's why assuming the feeling is so vital. It bypasses the surface mind and speaks directly to the core of who you are. It doesn't matter whether the world agrees yet. It doesn't matter if the facts seem to contradict you. You are not living by facts. You are living by faith in what you feel to be true. When you assume the feeling, you stop chasing and start becoming. You are no longer a beggar at the gates of life. You are a creator walking in your kingdom. You move with certainty, not because the world is showing you confirmation, but because your inner world has already accepted it. And when your inner world accepts something is true, the outer world must obey. That is the law, that is the design. You are not a victim of life's randomness, you are the cause. This is why you must practice the feeling deliberately. Sit in stillness. Drop into the version of yourself who already has what you want. Let it wash over you like warm water. Let the smile rise without effort. Let the tension leave your body. Let gratitude fill your chest, not because it's coming, but because it's already here. That feeling, when sustained, becomes a prayer more powerful than words. It is not asking, it is claiming. And that claim will reshape the very atmosphere around you. Every desire you hold is not a hope for the future. It is a memory of what already exists in the unseen. You are not trying to create something new. You are remembering your inheritance. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is how you access that memory. You step into it like a robe. You wear it, live in it, and walk forward as though no other reality could possibly exist. Others may not understand. They may tell you to be realistic, but reality is shaped by the dreamer who refuses to feel anything other than fulfillment. It is shaped by the one who dares to smile before the miracle, who laughs while the seed is still buried, who celebrates before the world has caught up. Because in the spiritual art of things it already exists, and when you feel it deeply enough, the world must rearrange itself to show you what you already know to be true. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is not hoping that something might happen if the stars align or circumstances become favorable. Faith is the deep, unwavering knowing that what you have accepted in your inner world must unfold, no matter what the outer world says. It is the eyes of the soul that see beyond appearances, beyond facts, beyond logic, and hold firm to what the heart has claimed as true. To walk by faith is to see clearly even in darkness. It is to look at an empty field and already feel the harvest in your hands. It is to hold joy in your chest when the world offers no visible reason for celebration, and yet you celebrate because you have seen with the only eyes that matter. Most people believe only what their physical senses report. They look around and let their environment determine what they believe is possible. If their bank account is low, they say they are poor. If no one calls, they say they are unloved. If they are in pain, they say they are sick. But faith does not operate by this shallow report. Faith is not moved by the condition of the bank account, or the silence of the phone, or the ache in the body. Faith moves by vision, and that vision is internal. It is the inner declaration that says, despite what I see, I know what I know. I know what I've accepted, I know what I've claimed, and I will not be shaken. To truly live in faith, you must ignore the evidence that contradicts your assumption. This is not denial, it is discipline. It is refusing to allow temporary facts to override eternal truths. You must become so loyal to your inner vision that nothing outside of you can make you doubt it. That means when the bill arrives, you bless it, knowing provision is already in motion. When someone rejects you, you remain calm, knowing that love is yours in abundance. When your body aches, you speak with authority, not pleading for healing, but affirming that healing is already present. Faith is the great reversal. It tells you to believe first, and then you will see, not the other way around. The danger of relying on the senses is that they always report the past. Your eyes can only see what has already happened. Your ears can only hear what has already been said. But your imagination sees what is coming. Your inner vision shows you the seeds before they bloom. That is why you cannot trust appearances. They are delayed echoes of yesterday's beliefs. If you want to change your life, you cannot wait for your senses to confirm your new belief. You must adopt that belief now, feel it now, live in it now, and let the senses catch up in their own time. They will, they must. But only after you've stopped letting them lead. Faith is the boldness to declare what you see within, even when it looks ridiculous to everyone else. It is the courage to speak as though your dream is already complete, while standing in the middle of circumstances that appear opposite. The world may call it delusion, but the one who walks in faith knows it is truth. Truth is not determined by sight. It is determined by conviction. The greater your conviction, the faster your world bends to match it. And that conviction comes from seeing clearly on the inside, not from waiting for others to agree with you. You must become the kind of person who, when nothing is working, still gives thanks. Who, when doors are closing, still walks as though they are opening. Who, when feeling small, still speaks with the voice of a giant. Because that kind of person is not led by fear or circumstance. They are led by vision. And vision is the fuel of faith. When you walk by sight, you shrink to match your environment. But when you walk by faith, your environment expands to match your belief. It takes discipline to keep your eyes closed to what contradicts your inner truth. The world will always give you reasons to give up, to feel discouraged, to lower your expectations. But those who create the impossible do not listen to those voices. They turn inward, they return to their vision, they feel it until it becomes more real than what they see. And they stay there, not for a moment, but as a way of life. They refuse to let the outside determine the inside. Instead, they let the inside shape the outside. Do not measure your life by what is, measure it by what you've claimed. Speak from that place, feel from that place, think from that place. The world will test you. It will show you shadows and try to convince you they are permanent. But shadows cannot exist without light. Your faith is that light, and when you hold to it long enough, the shadows must flee. Remember, what you see with your physical eyes is not reality, it is the residue of a past belief. If you want to step into a new reality, you must look with different eyes. Eyes that are not afraid to see beauty where others see lack. Eyes that recognize abundance in the invisible. Eyes that say, I see it for myself, I believe it for myself, I know it is mine even now. That is faith. Not hoping, not waiting, but knowing. When you walk by faith, the need to prove disappears. You no longer beg or chase or panic. You simply live in the state of your fulfilled desire and let the world adjust. And it will, because the world is not the master, it is the mirror. And what you hold most firmly within will always be reflected without. Faith is the anchor in the unseen, the bridge to the unmanifest, and the guarantee that what you have dared to see in your heart will one day stand before you in full form. You've been told your entire life that hard work is the key to success, that effort and sweat alone can move mountains. But there is a deeper truth, a more powerful principle at play beneath all the striving. Your world does not respond to your effort. It responds to your assumption. The energy you put into something is not what draws the outcome. It is the belief behind that energy that creates. You can hustle day and night, but if your inner dialogue is still one of lack, fear, or doubt, you will only attract experiences that validate that inner state. On the other hand, when you act from the conviction that what you want is already yours, without resistance or uncertainty, you begin to shape the world with invisible hands. The universe is not reacting to how much you do, it is reacting to who you believe you are. It listens not to your actions alone, but to the identity from which those actions are born. If you work like someone who is desperate, anxious, and unsure, your results will reflect that vibration. But if you work like someone who already has everything aligned, whose success is inevitable, whose future is secured, then even your smallest step carries the force of a giant leap. The outer world cannot help but reflect the assumptions you carry about yourself. This is not a mystical idea. It is the unspoken law that governs creation. There are people who do very little in the eyes of the world, yet everything flows to them with ease. And then there are others who work tirelessly, yet can't seem to break through. The difference is not luck. It is alignment. It is the state of being from which they operate. The first group assumes success as a natural state. They walk with a quiet inner assurance. They do not question whether they are worthy or capable. They live in the assumption that life supports them, and so it does. The second group lives in a state of resistance. Their efforts are fueled by fear. They are chasing rather than allowing. And the more they chase, the more the thing they want seems to run from them. To shift your world, you must shift your assumption. Do not wait until life changes to feel like a winner. Feel like a winner now. Carry yourself like one. Speak like one. Make decisions like one. It is not arrogance. It is faith. It is not fantasy. It is alignment with the higher reality, already present within you. When you operate from that place, the world bends in your favor. Not because you forced it, but because you matched the frequency of your desire. Everything in your experience is responding to your self-concept, not your schedule. If you believe yourself to be wealthy, life will find a way to mirror that belief. If you believe yourself to be unloved or forgotten, life will echo that too. You are the projector, not the screen. This is why effort without inner belief can feel like running in circles. You push and push, but nothing changes, because you are trying to build a new life while clinging to an old identity. You cannot claim abundance while secretly feeling unworthy. You cannot manifest love while quietly believing you are unwanted. The assumption you live from is more powerful than anything you do. It determines the shape of every interaction, the outcome of every opportunity, and the tone of every day. It sets the thermostat for your life, and no matter how hard you work, your results will return to match that internal setting until you change it. The beautiful truth is that you do not need to force anything to change. You only need to accept the new assumption and let your world follow. Life is more malleable than you think. People, events, circumstances, they are not fixed. They are reflections taking shape around your dominant beliefs. So ask yourself, what do I consistently assume to be true about myself? What do I believe is possible? What reality do I feel at home in, even if I say I want something different? Because until your inner world shifts, the outer world cannot help but repeat the old story. But once you adopt a new assumption and live from it, not occasionally, but consistently, then change becomes inevitable. Stop thinking in terms of how much more you have to do, and start thinking in terms of who you need to be. Because when you become the person who already has it, everything begins to flow. You won't have to convince others of your value, they will feel it. You won't need to chase money, it will find you. You won't have to beg for love, it will recognize you. The world treats you as you treat yourself in the silence of your heart, based on what you say you want, but based on who you assume you are. You must stop looking to the world for feedback on who you are and start telling the world who you are by your inner stance. You are not waiting for circumstances to shift, you are the shift. You are not waiting for things to happen, you are happening. The moment you step into a new self-concept and walk in it without apology or hesitation, the universe has no choice but to reflect it. The change begins in the unseen, in the way you carry yourself when no one is watching, in the way you speak to yourself in the quiet of your thoughts, in the way you silently declare, "This is who I am now," and act accordingly. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them think you've changed. Let them whisper that you've become too confident, too certain, too calm. That's what happens when you live from a new assumption. You are no longer reacting to life, you are directing it. And every assumption you make is a seed planted in the soil of your subconscious, ready to bloom in perfect time. You do not need to dig it up or check on it every hour. You need only to water it with faith, consistency, and gratitude. And soon, without strain, without force, it will rise before you as the new reality you always knew was coming. To live from the end is to abandon the mindset of striving and step into the consciousness of arrival. It is to no longer act like someone hoping for something to happen, but to think, feel, and behave as though it already has. It is the quiet certainty that your desire is not on its way, it is here. Even when the world shows no sign, even when the facts contradict you, you remain unmoved because you are not living toward the outcome. You are living from it. This is the key difference between those who merely wish and those who create. One looks ahead and chases, the other looks within and claims. When you live from the end, you do not visualize to escape reality, you visualize to command it. You close your eyes and dwell in the state where your desire is already fulfilled, and you carry that state with you like a fragrance. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every breath you take flows from the assumption that what you desire is already fact. And this assumption becomes a seed planted in the soil of reality, watered by faith, nourished by repetition, and protected by inner silence. No one else needs to see it for it to be real. No one else needs to agree with it for it to take shape. It lives in you, and from you it emerges. People struggle because they live in the in-between. They say they believe, but continue to act, feel, and speak as if the outcome is uncertain. They talk about their dreams as if they are distant possibilities rather than present truths. And so they remain stuck in a state of waiting, waiting for signs, waiting for conditions to improve, waiting for the right time. But life does not yield to hesitation, it yields to boldness. To live from the end is to declare with your entire being, this is already done, and then conduct yourself accordingly. You don't wait for the door to open. You walk through it in your spirit. And once your inner world moves, the outer world must rearrange to match. Think of how you would feel if your dream were already fulfilled. How would your body respond? What would your posture be like? Would there be a lightness in your step? Would your thoughts flow with ease and certainty? That feeling is the key. That emotional atmosphere is the state you must inhabit. Not once, not occasionally, but continuously. When you live from the end, you visit that state so often, it becomes more familiar than your current circumstances. And eventually, your current reality has no choice but to give way. This principle applies to every area of life. If you desire love, don't wait to feel loved. Feel loved now. Walk as someone who is cherished, respected, and adored. Speak to yourself with the tenderness and honor you expect from another. Make decisions as someone who already has the kind of relationship they dream about. If you desire success, stop acting like a seeker and start acting like a possessor. Trust your choices. Show up like someone whose success is already written. The world does not resist the one who knows who they are. It only mirrors back the level of certainty you hold within. Living from the end is not fantasy, it is alignment. It is the art of choosing your emotional home before the world gives you permission to. And it is this inner alignment that causes the external evidence to appear. You are not conjuring something out of thin air. You are tuning into the reality that already exists in the unseen. Just because others cannot see it yet does not make it any less real. What you feel deeply, what you assume with conviction, what you mentally rehearse again and again becomes your lived experience. This is why imagination is sacred. It is the place where you practice the future, where you taste the fruit before it appears on the branch, where you rehearse the reactions of someone who already has everything they once prayed for. The more vividly you dwell in this end scene, the faster your subconscious accepts it as true. And once it accepts it, it begins to guide your thoughts, your behaviors, and even the behavior of others to bring it into form. You don't need to figure out how. The how is none of your concern. You need only to stay in the state of the end, to hold it, to trust it, to embody it so completely that doubt no longer feels natural. You are not called to live in preparation. You are called to live in realization. Every time you say, I'm becoming, you delay. But when you say, I am, you create. You are not on the way to abundance, you are abundant. You are not chasing love, you are love embodied. You are not pursuing success, you are successful now. These declarations are not affirmations to make you feel better. They are bridges to the reality you claim. When you cross that bridge internally, the outer world will follow. It always does. But it requires discipline, because the outer world will test your resolve. It will throw appearances at you that seem to contradict your assumption. That's when you must stand firm. That's when you must say, no, this is not my truth. I know who I am. I know what I've claimed, and I will not move from it. The storm may rage, but the one who lives from the end is anchored. They are not tossed around by every emotion or delay. They walk with calm authority because they have already arrived. The outer journey is just the unfolding of what is already complete inside. So stop living like your dream is a distant land. Stop speaking as if you're still waiting. Bring the end into the present. Feel it now, live in it now, think from it, not toward it. Let your actions rise from the knowing that it is already yours, and as you do, the world will shift. Not because you forced it, but because you dared to embody the truth before it appeared. This is the art of manifestation, not effort, not struggle, but assumption made flesh through faithful feeling. You are not waiting for the end to come. You are the end. Live from it and watch as the world catches up.